Ahoy, mateys, and welcome to another stupendous episode of Done Better, the internet review show where I, your host, Adam Scott's less attractive brother, highlight 3 flaws with a film and fix them fantastically, folks. So strap on your life preserver, bait your hook, and prepare to kick a shark in the face because we're sailing ahead on The Meg, Done Better.
Jonas, that's something outside the ship. There's something out there.
You okay, pal? Oh my God.
Permission to come aboard.
So why did this giant fish film feel like a flop? Inherently, there's been a big trend in Hollywood over the last couple decades that has steadily increased in presence. In order to try and lock down a successful international release, Hollywood has generally accepted the practice of crafting or cutting full scenes of blockbuster films to reach out to and appease a Chinese market. Now, The Meg wasn't cut and adjusted for a Chinese market.
It was kind of made for everybody, everywhere, across the globe, which is probably why it's so bland. But
why or how a film is made doesn't inherently make a bad film. Sometimes the circumstances under which a film is produced is just a symptom. What makes a film bad is, well, when it's bad. And The Meg has many flaws, but at a base level, it immediately abandons all the fun ideas the source material provided in favor of sticking to a cliche shark story. It overcrowds and is confused about its own characters, and it can't seem to reel in what kind of film it actually is. Is it an action comedy? Is it? I'm genuinely asking if they thought it was. I remember asking myself, am I meant to be laughing at this? But that doesn't count as laughing. If I were laughing, it would sound like this.
I might have lured them with some whale songs. This is Lucy and her daughter, Gracie.
Incredible. Wow.
Number 1, the book was better. You had a whole novel of actually pretty fun new shark ideas that would have made your generic shark movie stand out like a big fish in a big pond, and none of it was used. Number 2, overcrowded crew. You put together a team of international superstars to kind of hang out and talk over each other and do some stuff and swap traits depending on who hadn't spoken in a while. It was a mess. And number 3, funny fishes? Seems odd to me that The Meg ultimately decided to shake all the ideas that could have made it unique and fun and decided, we want to make a generic shark movie that's been a staple of cheap horror films since the 70s, but we want to do it with a bigger budget and do it completely straight-faced. So here we go. As quickly as possible, I'll sum up The Meg. Jason Statham and a crew of scientists accidentally unleash a giant shark and then they have to stop it. That's, pretty much it, actually.
At least you can use this as your dating app pic.
Give you a little leg, you know?
Yeah. Woo. Oh, yeah.
I came in like a wrecking ball. I never hit so hard in love. All I wanted was...
Now, I'll be the first person to tell you that a book is a very different form of entertainment than a film, other than for the obvious reasons, like that new book smell. I'm a consistent believer that a screenplay should be able to stand on its own, without a prior reading of the novel being necessary to understand your story world. Sometimes the best way to go about turning a book into a screenplay is to, actually adapt that book, not copy it over line for line. That should be obvious to people who can grasp that a film is a different artistic medium than a book. But I feel like sometimes people still don't understand why the 4th Harry Potter movie didn't add another 3 hours of screen time, filling us in on Hermione Granger's quest to liberate the house elves in the Hogwarts kitchens. That was a thing, and we all would have loved to cram that in there. However, I think a general problem the Meg faced was simply that we've seen it before many, many, many times. And the film traded in some of the more unique ideas within the novel it was based on in favor of cliche storytelling that made adapting the screenplay into a film and production just easier, I guess. Don't fix what ain't broke seemed to be the general model. If that's your life philosophy, I feel bad for your sexual partner because you done having some boring sex. So, I never actually read the novel this film is based on, but in doing just a modicum amount of research for this review, I was immediately led to 3 things in the novel that would have immediately made The Meg stand out from the tidal wave of killer shark films that already exist out there. First off, the Meg was white in the novel. That's it on that idea. Makes sense for the story world where a giant shark is hidden that far below the ocean surface, and it also immediately makes your monster more unique and creepy. Seems odd to just abandon that, unless you're worried about the VFX not working. Thank God you nailed that out of the park though, right? Second, the Meg attacks at night in the novel as the sunlight hurts its eyes. Again, another element that makes sense in the story world you've already established. Now, imagine the action of this film only taking place at night. Something that immediately makes your shark enemy more formidable and adds an element of horror and suspense simply by changing exterior, the ocean, day, to exterior, the ocean, night. How can a gigantic shark sneak up on you without seeing it coming? Well, it certainly can do that in the inky darkness. How do you allow for stupid mistakes to be made by characters? Maybe by making them stay up all hours of the night, exhausted, at each other's throats, and always fearful of that inky darkness. And finally, third, in the book, Jonas kills the Meg by diving down its throat and landing in its belly, then ripping out its heart from within. So tell me this. You got Jason Statham to be that character, and you decided not to fucking do that? What the fuck is wrong with you, movie? So what was my fix? Oh, well, it was all 3 of those. Do those, put those in. If you're gonna adapt something, maybe adapt over some of its more unique and entertaining ideas. Then, your movie would have had some fresh takes instead of being another shark movie, but with a bigger, more fully rendered shark.
Not breathing.
Number 2, the Meg had a full-blown crew of characters, and only about this many were useful or necessary to the plot. Am I gonna do this? Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Gilligan's Island had a better understanding of what makes up a crew than this film. Each character had a point to the storytelling in Gilligan's Island and fulfilled their roles perfectly. Yep, even Ginger. And she would have died first. If you ever wondered which of the crew of the Minnow would die first in a shark attack. Ginger. Then Mr. Howell, then Mary Ann, Professor, Skipper, Mrs. Howell. Gilligan would have survived. Now, I'm not saying all of these characters didn't fill a proper void, it's just that most of them didn't. The Meg just does not use its crew well. A splattering of characters were tossed down, and then a smattering of roles were placed on top of them, like cheese on a pizza. So I'll try to make it fairly easy to comprehend the fixes here by presenting both the problem with the character and the solution they already had on deck but decided against using. Why is the retired alcoholic subdiver always the one making the decisions on what the team does in the film,
You need to find it and kill it.
instead of reluctantly agreeing to come along for the ride like a real anti-hero? Shouldn't leading be reserved for the team leader? He even has the decency to die and leave behind a Jason Statham-sized hole that can be filled with Jason Statham. Why is the small daughter of a main character even present if she's not actually there to inform on any of the plot itself? Does she know a Unix system? Does she get put in danger? Can she? Why are any of these fellas even here, other than showing bafflement at events? Do they have skills? Do they have skills that could be useful in tracking down a giant shark? Do any of them know details about sharks? Why does the negative Nancy doctor of the group sacrifice himself to save the lady whose tech skills should be useful for tracking down the giant shark? Shouldn't that honor be reserved for the group leader who's willing to sacrifice himself for a more valuable member of the team? They die in the same scene anyway. Why does the eccentric billionaire who had no idea what he was actually funding decide to track down the shark on his own? Because he didn't want a lawsuit to ensue? Wait, that one kind of works. But guys, he needed to know what he was funding if you want me to believe anything about his character. And why isn't this guy some sort of underwater sea creature fanatic? Maybe one that could actually have purpose of filling in unknown or outrageous megalodon facts? How about you use the characters you have at your disposal to do the things you assign them to do? Or if you have a handful of characters who serve no purpose in your group dynamic, then don't have those characters. Now, I understand you need chum to throw in the water, but the impact of suddenly losing a member of the team who was the only one capable of fixing the sub, or navigating, or leading, not only impacts the way the story would then unfold, it means their death has weight. Honestly, it would be so weird to assign specific colors to a paint by numbers board, then turn off the lights and see if things will fall into place anyway. Leave the lights on, you big dummies, and for God's sake, get rid of some of the numbers. Humor is relative. It is. I'm not gonna tell you what's funny. Hell, you might think this series isn't comedic at all, and it's not. Everything I say should be taken completely seriously. But the Meg seems to struggle with what it is. Is it an over-the-top, bloated, deconstructive look at shark movies? Taking the overused concept of the killer shark to extreme and baffling new budgets? Well, no, it wasn't that. Although I feel like that's what the advertising department wishes it had been. In all honesty, I think the film takes itself entirely too seriously. You can't have moments like this in your shark movie.
How about you just try something new? So the rest of your life isn't a vast wasteland of misery and solitude.
And then tell me I wasn't meant to take the whole film at face value? The source material seemed to be thinking it was Jurassic Park, but with a big shark. So if you're gonna strip all of that creativity and depth away and make a film whose main elements boil back down to being the basic egg, butter, and flour combo, why didn't you make that cake bloated and ridiculous? It's a real damn shame that the writer of this film didn't get bored while they were writing it and then suddenly be like, no, you know what? Not one helicopter. I'm gonna put 5 goddamn helicopters in here. You know what? Not just a giant squid, giant fucking lobsters. That's going in there too. You know, it'd be fucking great. I know this is never gonna happen, but I want someone to kick this shark in the fucking face. And I wish that they would cast Jason Statham. I know that's never gonna happen, but fuck it, that would be awesome if he was in this movie. Well, guess what, writer? They did cast Jason Statham. And now you have so fucking much of that boring egg on your face. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Done Better. How did you feel about the Meg? Do you also hate humpback whales? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share this shit. I only have so many Facebook friends, and most of them have already left. But before we go, the bits and pieces. Little things to spice up this mackerel. This film needed just more Statham in it. The real Statham.
He lost it. And now we're about to send him into the exact same situation.
There's always a bigger fish.
A bigger fish.
I don't want to read subtitles. This is America. Dub that shit.
You have my brave girl. Oh, you already are better than I am. Oh, my dream is that my Ying will grow up to be just like you. It's okay, Dad. Save your breath. I'm dead now. Avenge me!
You know what the easiest way to fix this movie would have been, honestly, is like, just have Jason Statham character be Jason Statham. Just, who do we get to save this crew? Jason fucking Statham. And then they just literally went and got the actor Jason Statham. And then have it play out exactly the same. Like Masioka moved to working with sea creatures after the failure of Heroes. Ruby Rose just makes underwater subs in her spare time. Rainn Wilson is funding the shark research facility using residual checks from The Office. And that research facility is being run by Li Bingbing as a way of doing tax evasion. Oh, that was Fan Bingbing? Never mind, that whole idea doesn't work then. Without the tax evasion, we have nothing.